Hello, I'm Christopher Bell, the Executive Chairman of the Brighton Education Group, Brighton Global, and all the various Brighton Education organisations, companies that we have. I'm delighted to welcome you to join us in our operations in China, and to welcome those of you who are returning to a new year, starting now in China. I'm actually talking to you from Malaysia, where I'm based, which runs on a different school year, which starts in January, the Southern Hemisphere school year. So we are obviously in our programs here well advanced into 8 months into the school year. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Brighton Education. We really cover three areas. One is international and private schools and preschools, and projects like your own one in China are part of that. Secondly, we have education improvement projects. In fact, the office I'm in at the moment in Seremban is the base for our education improvement programs for our biggest one, which is we call the Native Speaker Teaching English Language and Literacy Project, or TEL. And it is a very large project covering 600 schools and about 2,500 Malaysian English teachers through 120 mentors. We also have English Speaking Assistance Project, where usually young, but they don't have to be, people come and work as classroom assistants in schools in Malaysia and other parts of Asia. Our focus is on ASEAN, Southeast Asia effectively, and on China, but we may be expanding beyond that. And the third area is in language training. We've got a lot of people out of our 200 odd educationists that we employ who have backgrounds in English language training, and through our partner Fong Wai Fong, Chinese language training. This is training in English as an additional or second or foreign language, and Chinese as an additional second or foreign language. And that's an area that we expect to grow a great deal in the coming year. I want to then just move on briefly, because I know that this is meant to be quite a quick introduction to Brighton, talk about our people. And obviously in an organisation such as ours, an education organisation, people are the heart of everything that we do. We are client focused. We see what the client wants, whether it happens to be parents of Chinese students in Suzhou or Changzhou, whether it happens to be the parents of our students kids in our international school at Park City, Premier International School at Park City in Kuala Lumpur, or at our kindergartens here in Seremban. The other types of clients, like governments, corporate social responsibility, we're focused on those. So we have client focus. But we secondly have a commitment to going beyond just what the client contracts us to do or pays us to do. And that's where we add value. And the added value comes out of the extra things that our people can do and do, going beyond the basic day-to-day job. And we really appreciate that, and we help develop all our people, teachers, trainers and others, to be able to add value. And thirdly, we are determined to have evidence that all our inputs, i.e. the teaching or the training, all these things are measured. So we want to assess and measure the results of these inputs. So I call it we're a bit of a disease. We've got a bit of an acronym disease in this organisation. I call it AIMA: Assessment, Measurement, Evaluating, and Reporting. And we do that even when we're not required to do it, because we want to know how well we've been doing, how we've impacted the students, impacted the teachers, so that we have that evidence. When it comes to recruiting our people, this is especially for those of you who are new, we really look at recruitment on 3 levels. There's the qualifications, there's experience, and there's what I just lumped together and call personality. Now, qualifications, it's relatively easy to check that people have the right qualifications for the job. For experience, it takes a bit longer. We need to look at where people have been working before. Is that relevant to the new position? And does that mean that they're likely to perform well in that position? But the most difficult one is personality, or attitude, you could also call it. And this is very hard to tell certainly from a CV or a resume, for those of you from North America. And it's hard to tell even in an interview. And that's where we hope that we have people with all the energy, all the ease, the energy, the enthusiasm, who enjoy their job in education with us. Just want to give a bit of advice for those of you who are new. All our work, much of our work involves Western teachers and trainers working in Eastern locations, whether schools or projects. And that requires quite a lot of cross-cultural adaptation. And what I've found in the past is that 9 times out of 10, where someone has difficulties, it isn't actually to do with their experience or their qualifications or their professional knowledge of the job. It's actually a cross-cultural issue, or where they find it difficult to fit in with local cultural norms. And in China, there's no exception. In fact, in many ways, it's an interesting challenge, I think, but it is a big challenge for Westerners to get used to operating, working in, and living in, and enjoying being in Chinese cities, second-tier cities they call them, even though Suzhou has 10 million people and Changzhou has, I think, about 7 million. It takes some adaptation. I advise you to make full use of our staff, who both Chinese and Western and Malaysian, who have been able to successfully make this transition, and to take their advice. Spend a lot of time watching and seeing how people behave so that you fit in. I mean, to the Chinese, you're quite a rarity in places like Suzhou and Changzhou, and they'll be interested in you, but they'll see you as someone that they'll want to sort of, in a way, have you fitted in? Have you adapted to living and working in China? I just a footnote on that. I see in my high-tech pencil notes here that I write in the middle of the night when I get thoughts about things, so I don't wake my wife up. I see that I made the point. Please do your best to avoid conflict. Sometimes it's difficult to do when you find yourself in a difficult situation, but it's extremely important in any cross-cultural exchange. Try to avoid conflict, seek advice, talk to people who've already made the transition, who know about living and working in China, so that that can resolve those issues. It's not just avoiding conflict. It's also, what are the Chinese ways of working, what are the Chinese norms, and where it's feasible, trying to fit in with those and their expectations. Most importantly, I'd like to end with saying, please enjoy yourselves with us, enjoy the job, enjoy life in China, learn lots, and hopefully you'll stay with us either in China or in other projects and schools that we have growing around the region. Thank you.